Do you want an in-game money printer in your pocket? If so, then I hope you enjoy this video. Hello and welcome to the Warroach News channel. Thank you so much for watching. Now you might be asking me, hey Roy, so what is this money printing move? And that's a good question. That move... And I'm going to go ahead and feature a top 10 list right first on the Warroach News channel. I've not had a top 10 list, so I thought I would try something new here. But before I go on, I know that some people are probably asking me, hey Roy, so what is Payday? It is a normal type move. It is a base 40 attack, and you use the move and you get money at the end of the battle, assuming that the Pokemon either faints or you capture the Pokemon. Or if you're fighting against an NPC, make sure to target the one Pokemon that you want to use Payday on, because Payday only works once. So make sure that Payday counts. Multiply the Pokemon's level by 10, and that's going to be your money output. So as an example, I know some people hate Tentacool. Let's just say that there's a level 40 Tentacool, and you use Payday. Well then, 40 times 10 is going to be 400. So now, every time you see a Tentacool or Tentacruel, you can look forward to using the move Payday. So there you go. All right, now without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the top 10 list. And before I do, I'd like to mention one small disclaimer. I do not have all the Pokemon that can learn Payday, because there are some Pokemon here that are either going to waste your time because some of them I deem as useless, or there are Pokemon that are good but just not good enough to feature in the top 10 list. So there we go. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with number 10. Rhyperior.
A fierce blow. Such amazing power.
And I have to thank Myrbagri, I hope I said your name correct, and he has featured a really excellent publication about how to build the Rhyperior. So basically, he wants you to make an adamant 252 attack, 252 speed. Those are the EVs there. IVs are 31 attack, 31 speed. His move is basically Payday. And he has Earthquake too, but he doesn't really talk much about Earthquake. So yeah, I don't really want to talk too much about his methodology because he did a really great job. Although I would like to note something before you watch the video. Don't use strings. As time of this taping, PokeMMO has recently made strings illegal. It is against the rules. Don't do strings. All right, I just want to note that before anyone tries that. So don't do it. It is now against the rules. But you might be asking me, so Roy, how come Rhyperior is so low on your list? And that's a good question. And let me go ahead and answer that by asking you to look at the speed stat. Look at that. Base speed stat 40. You're not really going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon out there. And then couple that with its base 55 special defense, and considering the fact that Rhyperior is a rock and ground type, yes, it has the ability Solid Rock, which dampens the Pokemon's weakness hits. So as an example, if Rhyperior has a Seed Bomb heading in its direction, then the weakness doesn't really affect it too much. So that's Solid Rock, and that's why I suggest for you to run Solid Rock on Rhyperior. But even that, I would advise against it because it is slow, and if you want to fleet fights, I mean, you're going to have a little bit of some trouble doing that, and I would just recommend other tools. So that is why Rhyperior is so low on my list. And now let's go ahead and dive into number 9. Rapidash!
Here's the first move. Boom!
Alright, there we go. So Rapidash, having the attack stat of 100, Payday's going to be hitting quite a bit hard. And then, at the same time, you have that choice band too. So you can be able to choice band it. And let's just say that you're waiting for your eggs to hatch. Hence the reason why I have the ability Flame Body, because that hidden ability is going to help you out in terms of speeding up your egg hatching. Now, you know, gender fees are going to be quite expensive, braces and ability pills. Don't you want to make some of that money back while you're waiting for your eggs to hatch? If that sounds like you, then you might want to invest in a Rapidash. And preferably, I would recommend Adamant, so you can be able to run Payday and you can be able to hit as hard as possible. But if you want to run it mixed, actually, Rach, the PokeMMO developer several years ago, suggested that you need to run Rapidash mixed. And I appreciate her suggestion. If you were to go along with that suggestion, well then here's how I would EV train that Rapidash. 252 attack and 252 special attack. And then the moves, I would basically give it Payday and Heat Wave. So if you want to run Rapidash mixed, you can. I prefer running it Adamant, but that's just me. And the only problem with Rapidash is that Rapidash, it doesn't have any other additional effect. And that is why Rapidash is so low on the list. Same for Rhyperior. Rhyperior doesn't have any additional effect, so that's why Rhyperior and Rapidash are so low. But Rapidash is slightly higher because at least there's some usage to Rapidash. I mean, you can use it in the lead to help hatch eggs faster. But otherwise, if you're not really breeding like a maniac, maybe you shouldn't run Rapidash in the lead for your Payday. Now let's go ahead and dive a little bit more into this list, shall we? Speaking about breeding. Number 8, Delcatty. Alright, the attack stat is 65. Even though it's stab, it's not going to really hit that card, considering the fact that it is such a low attack stat. The only saving moment for Delcatty is its Cute's Charm ability, which basically allows for you to catch the Pokemon of the opposite gender. So if you're in a wild fight, at least you can let the time fly by, and you can just use Payday, and you can be able to gain money passively that way. But otherwise, if you're not trying to catch breeders, I would say that you don't really need to run Delcatty, but at least it's an option. So that's why I have it at number 8. Now let's go ahead and go to number 7. Alrighty, Smeargle. And I also share this rank with Mew as well.
Here's the first move. There, it's a hit.
So I'm going to go ahead and explain Smeargle, and then I'm going to explain Mew. So Smeargle has the ability Technician, and its attack stat is 20, which is actually the lowest attack stat in this entire list. And it is stab. So you get that same type of attack bonus, but you're not really running Smeargle for power. You're running Smeargle because Smeargle can pick out any move in the game. And you can be able to run Payday with Soak. More on that later. But you can essentially Soak a Ghost type, and then you can use Payday on that. And you can use other moves as well. I mean, you can use False Swipe, you can couple the Smeargle with several different moves. That's the only main benefit to Smeargle, is that it can learn every move as long as you can sketch it. So that is why Smeargle is number 7. Now, why does Mew share this rank? You might be saying to me, Mew is stronger. Yeah, it is, but it can also learn every single TM and tutor move. But Mew has one benefit, and it is the fact that even though Mew can't learn every move, because Mew doesn't have the move sketch, but it can learn all the TMs and the like, it has the ability Synchronize, which is the only Pokemon in this entire list that has that. Why is this a benefit? Well, let's just say you're trying to catch some Dittos over at the Desert Underpass in Hoenn, and you want a specific nature. Well, you can just have Mew adopt that nature. You can have Mew learn Payday, Substitute, False Swipe, Baton Pass. Why? Because if Mew is there, and you encounter these Dittos, and you use Substitute, then Ditto cannot transform into Mew, which means that you can now use False Swipe, and then you can use Baton Pass. So that is the benefit to Mew learning every move, is that you can mold Mew in however you want to mold it. The issue with Mew is, I doubt that the devs are going to make Mew keepable in the way that Shaman is. I've had conversations with some of my teammates, and they are a bit skittish about the idea of Mew being capable. If they're skittish about it, then probably the tier list council is likely also skittish about it, which means that this might have a ripple effect and might reach the PokeMMO developers, and they might give Mew a summoning orb sort of mechanic, just like Darkrai. So even with that, I would still say Mew is still useful, but you're gonna have to budget your time wisely with the Pokemon. Now, if Mew is keepable, well then it still ranks number 7 because there are several more Pokemon that I would deem a little bit better at the paydaying job than Mew is, and the fact that these Pokemon are easier to get certainly helps in their ranking as well. Mew is probably going to be very hard to obtain on PokeMMO. I mean, as time is taping, we don't know how Mew is going to be implemented on PokeMMO, but only time will tell. Now, as for number 6, well, there we go. We have a Defiant Classic, Primeape.
What's this? There, it's a hit.
Alright, there we go. Hidden ability Defiant. And this is the only Pokemon that can look Gyarados in the face and use Payday, or any Pokemon with Intimidate in the face and use Payday, because it essentially boosts the attack stat. So Primeape, even though it is not a normal type, which means that Primeape is now going to get that stab bonus, same type attack bonus, well then Primeape can still use Payday because the move is going to have its attack power boosted because of that Defiant ability, especially if Gyarados uses Intimidate on the Primeape. Primeape is actually really diverse in its move pool, so you can pick out whatever move you want Primeape to learn and you can go with it. So that's why I ranked Primeape number 6. And not to mention the fact that you can probably use Primeape in a story mode, assuming that you have Defiant and you can be able to just use Payday while you're training up your Mankey or Primeape. That's going to be something that helps Primeape significantly in the ranking. Not to mention the fact that its speed stat is actually not bad. I mean, its speed stat is Fate's 95. You can go ahead and outspeed a fair amount of your story fights. So, yeah, I would say that Primeape is a really underrated Pokemon to use in the story mode. And the fact that it has access to Payday, it's the icing on the cake. And I cannot wait for Defiant Primeape to be implemented on PokeMMO. I wish everybody well in using your paydaying Primeapes. And number 5 is going to be Golduck.
What'll it do? That's a good hit.
Alrighty, there we go. Why is Golduck number 5? That's a good question. That is because of 2 reasons. 1, it has the ability Damp, which prevents self-destruct or explosion. So if you want to use Payday on Voltorb or Electrode, you can. And reason number 2 is that it has Soak, which means that you can be able to Payday Ghost-type Pokemon, Rock-type Pokemon, and Steel-type Pokemon. So, there we go. Here's Golduck. I'm going to go ahead and take off the graphic here. And here's the Golduck that Aw Baby built for me back in the day. So, there we go. And if you train at HP and defense, because Golduck really does need its defense stat. And there we go. We have Payday here. So that way we can be able to hit those Ghost-type Pokemon, or Steel-type Pokemon, or Rock-type Pokemon with the Payday move. We also have Thief in case I forgot to bring Poliwrath. I can use Golduck for that function, and I can have Yawn just in case if one of those Pokemon is a shiny. So I could be able to Yawn it away. Now, as time of this taping, the devs turned off the ability to catch Water-type Graveler with the Netball. The reason why I say that is because the old method was you would use the move Soak and then you would turn Graveler into Water-type and you would throw Netballs and they would be easier to catch. But you can use Golduck to Yawn the shiny Geodude or Graveler, Voltorb, or Electrode, and is your safe pivot into something else. Golduck is such a wonderful Payday Pokemon, which is why I listed it at number 5. Alrighty, now as for number 4, well, we have Snorlax.
What's that? Boom!
As time is taping, I don't have a story mode Snorlax to show you, but the fact that it has ability immunity, which means that it cannot be poisoned, which is wonderful because there are some story mode Pokemon that would like to poison you. Looking at you, Ninra and Male, you can't poison me at all. I'm going to use Payday, and you're going to love it. That's basically Snorlax in a nutshell. Also, the fact that it is Stab, meaning that Payday is going to hit a lot harder. So you could be able to go on your Snorlax rampage, and there are going to be a lot of story mode trainers that are going to hate you for using a Snorlax. Not to mention the fact that you have Body Slam. Yeah, you might be slow, but look at your special defense. You have a base 110 special defense. I don't think any trainer really likes you too much. I mean, especially the special attacking trainers. Also, your defense stat may be 65, but look at that HP stat, 160! And that attack stat, 110. I mean, this Pokemon is built for success. Then you might be saying to me, but Rhyperior! No. You don't understand. Look at Snorlax again. 160 HP stat. Now compare that to Rhyperior's base HP of 115. There's no comparison at all. Not to mention the fact that Snorlax has an attack stat of 110. Let me repeat that, 110. But you might be saying to me, Rhyperior is 140. Yeah, okay. Stab. Stab type bonus. There you go. Payday is a normal type move. You can use Payday. You might be saying to me, but ghost types. Snorlax can learn Crunch via TM. Anything else you want to throw at me? Fire Punch for the Caesar. You name it. Snorlax has a solution to most of your problems. So if you're running through story mode, Snorlax certainly deserves its number 4 spot. As for the number 3 ranking, we have Fearow.
What'll it do? What's the weakness?
Yes, its attack set is base 90, a little lower than Snorlax, but here's the reason why I ranked it so high. Sniper, as its hidden ability, meaning that you can go ahead and fish critical hits. So that's really cool. And all you need is just a scope lens or razor claw for Fearow to hold, and you can pretty much start getting those crits one after the other. But here's another reason why I listed it as number 3. You can learn Fly, and you can have Fearow to use as your flying Pokemon to go from point A to point B, and you don't have to worry about, oh man, I don't have the Fly Corona. No problem. Fearow is there to help you out. And not to mention the fact that, unlike Mew, Fearow is stab. So you can use Payday and you can hit hard against certain Pokemon. So, yeah, in fact, before Technician was implemented on PokeMMO, a lot of people were using Fearow because of how wonderful Fearow was. And I still have some old Fearows in my PC. In fact, I'll probably pull them out for you. Alrighty, folks, I'm back. Now, I didn't update the ability to make it Sniper, but instead of Fly, I made it have Drill Peck because Fly can miss, and I already had the Corona anyways, so I wanted to replace Fly with Drill Peck. And also, since Fearow has Drill Run, I updated that too. But back before Drill Run, Fearow could learn a Steel type move that can essentially deal some damage against Rock type Pokemon. So, yeah, Fearow is really awesome. And then when Gen 5 came out, Fearow could be able to learn False Swipe, so then that was added to Fearow as well. But by that time, Persian was a lot better. But back in the day, I remember this. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you the date that they were made. Look at that, 2015 and 2016 respectively. So, yeah, oh look at that, Rach hatched that over at Skypillar. Just noticed that now. Alright, so, there we go. As you can see, attack is 30. You don't need to make it 31, but it does a job really well. And this bird has served me for years. And this bird, I mean, it also served me for a fair amount of time as well. But when this bird was made, I was trying to figure out how to run around with a Persian, because Persian with Technician hits a lot harder. But I'll get to Persian a little later. Fearow is still pretty useful. And the fact that Payday can be learned via TM, I mean, that is really wonderful. So feel free to learn Payday. Back then, you would actually have to exchange battle points. So the fact that Payday is a TM now really does make this bird really accessible now. Just catch a Spearow, evolve it into Fearow, and have it learn Payday. And it can serve as your early Paydayer if you're trying to look for some extra cash on PokeMMO. And this is implying that you're running Kanto first instead of any other region. So, yeah, I just wanted to note that. Now, as for the number 2 ranking, well, there are 2 Pokemon in this rank. Meowth
Whoa! Major damage!
and Munchlax,
Big hit!
because they pretty much serve a similar function. Meowth has Pickup, Munchlax also has Pickup, meaning that after each wild fight, you have a chance to pick up some items after the battle. So yeah, that's why pickup is so wonderful. And also, Meowth having the attacks out of 45, patch it up with a choice band, EV train at 252, attack 252 speed. And then as for the moves, you can have it run Payday, you can have it run Shadow Claw, you can have it run Aerial Ace, and Dig if you're trying to get out of caves. Now as for Munchlax, you can also run the Choice Scarf to patch up its low speed stat. Its attack stat is going to be 85, and it also has a normal stab. And you EV train it the same way how you EV train Meowth, 252 attack, 252 speed. And its moves are Payday and Earthquake, Rock Slide. And as for the fourth move, you can either run Body Slam, or in the case of what the devs did in a recent update, you can have the move Dig to also get yourself out of caves as well. So Munchlax and Meowth really do serve a similar function. Now I would like to note that Munchlax has a base speed stat of 5, but that's the reason why Munchlax has to hold the Choice Scarf, so that way you can be able to patch up its low speed stat. And Meowth, the reason why you have it hold Choice Band is so you can be able to patch that attack stats. Both of them need choice items. In fact, I'll show you a Meowth and Munchlax so that way you can build one yourself. Alrighty folks, I'm back and I'm going to show you Meowth and Munchlax here. So Meowth I bought off the global trade link, and as for Munchlax, I'm so glad to have the OT Young Cabbage. Young Cabbage is a great guy. So there we go. Here are the IVs. Munchlax is more of a flex, but as long as you mirror Meowth's IVs, alright, Meowth admittedly also is kind of a bit of a flex, but as long as you have 25 plus in HP defense, special defense, same goes for Munchlax, you should be just fine. There are the EVs here. As you can see, an exact mirror of each other. And as for the moves, there you go. Now, instead of Body Slam, you can have it learn Dig, so that way you'll be able to get yourself out of caves. But besides Body Slam on Munchlax, almost everything here is the same. So that's the beauty of running Meowth and Munchlax. So pick whichever pickup Paydayer you want. Now, this is for a PvE wild Pokemon setting. Alrighty folks, and before we get into our number one pick, I would like to share with you a few honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1, Pikachu. Now the reason why I picked Pikachu, not Raichu, is because Pikachu is the only Pokemon in this entire list that has an item specialized for it. So Pikachu has Light Ball, which essentially boosts its attack and special attack, which is really cool. And not only that, but also you can build it in a way where it can be able to take advantage of attacking on both sides of the spectrum. What am I talking about? Mild nature, and then as for the IVs, you can do 31 attack, 31 special attack, and 31 speed. That's all you need. And then HP defense and special defense, you can just do 20 plus or 25 plus. And then as for the EVs, you can do 202 attack, 202 special attack. And then as for the moves, I would say do Payday and do Discharge, Surf, and Sweet Scent. Why those 4 moves? That is because Pikachu has the rare honor of having access to Payday and Sweet Scent, so you want to take advantage of that. Also, Discharge and Surf, well, this is in case you want to EV train with Pikachu, although I would prefer EV training with a pickup Pokemon, but that's another topic for another day. I am going to say this though, that Pikachu is really good in terms of cost effectiveness, although I would like to say why it is not in the top 10. Considering the fact that every single time you have to breed the Raichu or Pikachu, and then it turns to a Pichu, and then you have to go through the painstaking trials of making its happiness maximized, and then you gotta evolve that every single time, and you gotta do it like 4 or 5 times before you get to the maximum breed. Ugh, I mean, I don't really want to recommend a Pikachu, even though Pikachu is actually pretty good if you want to use it, but I would say don't do it since there's no extra benefits to using Pikachu. So that's just my personal opinion about Pikachu there, but you can have access to Payday, which is really good, and it's one of the few Pokemon that you can be able to use Payday on with hordes. In case there's a shiny in the horde and you don't want to lose money, you can just use Payday on one of the Pokemon, and then you can go ahead and try to catch that shiny in the horde. But I don't really want to get too much into the weeds here, but that is the reason why I did not put Pikachu in the top 10. Now as for the other honorable mentions, I would just say Evolutions. Now, Jolteon, I'm not going to really cover because Pikachu and Jolteon kind of do the same function, except Jolteon's a little less good. And Vaporeon used to be good, but the devs then did a modification to Netball to where you can't really use it to catch Dittos anymore, considering the fact that Netball no longer works on Ditto. Now, as for Flareon, Flareon's actually decently good, especially against fire targets. So if you're scared of getting burned, well, Flareon can be able to be used and you don't have to worry about getting burned, because Flareon can just use Payday to its heart's content. And I've used it against things like Heatmor, for example, and you can farm Flame Orbs as well. In fact, you can go ahead and have Bayonetta in the lead, and assuming Orb Shuppet or whatever Pokemon you have with Frisk, and then if that ability flags, and you just switch straight into the Flareon, and you could try to get that Flame Orb. So that's pretty cool. Now, as for the other honorable mentions, I would like to say that Umbreon is decent, but you're not really running Payday just to stall. You're running Payday so you can go in and out. So Umbreon's not good at going in and out, but it is good in terms of longevity in certain fights. Espeon kind of has a similar problem to Jolteon, except Espeon, I would say, is a little worse. So I don't really want to talk too much about Espeon there, because Espeon only specializes in special attack, and its attack size is kind of a joke. Now, as for the Glaceon, Glaceon is... it's an ice type, so do I really need to explain that? Leafeon is okay, but the problem with Leafeon is, despite it having access to Razor Leaf, and that's pretty decent, I mean, much better Pokemon out there that you can use in hordes. Leafeon, I would not recommend personally. If you like Leafeon, then it's not a bad choice. Out of all the evolutions, I would say Flareon is probably the best one, because you can use it against fire targets. In fact, I'll show you my personal Flareon. Alrighty folks, I am back and I'm here with Flareon. The reason why I picked Team Rocket YouTube to breed this Flareon is because Team Rocket, he is such a fire brand on YouTube, and he's such a wonderful guy. So yeah, not to mention the fact that he specializes in the Kanto region, so I thought that Flareon would fit in well for our friend Team Rocket. So there we go, there's the IVs. You don't really need to have it 5x31, but you can just have it 25 plus in HP, 31 attack, 25 plus in defense, 25 plus in special defense, and 31 speed. And as for the EVs, there it is. In fact, I maximized HP and attack, so that way Flareon can withstand some of Heatmor's hits. In fact, that's the reason why I made this Flareon, is so I can be able to farm Flame Orbs. And there are the moves. Alright, Covet there, so I can be able to take those Flame Orbs. We have Payday there. We have Yawn in case we bump into a shiny Heatmor. And then we have Flare Blitz, just in case I need a powerful fire type attack. So that's my Flareon there, Flash Fire, so that way I can be able to absorb some of the fire type hits. But other than Flareon, I mean, all the other evolutions are meh when it comes to paydaying. Everything else, evolutions do really well. But yeah, just don't use it for payday unless you're talking about Flareon. And Flareon has that one specific niche that I would argue is really good for payday. There we go. But the reason why Flareon's not listed here is because of all the hoops you have to jump, and considering the fact that it's only one specific niche for an item that, generally speaking, goes kind of low in the price. I mean, as time of this taping, we're talking about an item that at the low point goes for about 10k, which is not bad, but I would say that there are much better money makers in my personal opinion. So that is why Flareon's not on the list. Otherwise, if Flame Orb has a better price, then I would say Flareon would make it on the list. Now, as for the number one, and I think I spoiled it in the Fearow ranking, but as for the number one payday Pokemon of all time, in my personal opinion, would be Persian.
What's this? Drill that, weak spot.
And not just any Persian, lonely Persian. Now, the reason why you want lonely is so that way you can be able to EV train it 252 attack, 252 special attack. Then you have it hold the Silk Scarf, and then on top of that you have the normal stab. So that's pretty cool considering the fact that Persian is normal type and its attack is 70. But here's the thing, Persian has the ability Technician. So unlike Smeargle that wants to make use of its Technician, and I would recommend that you run Technician if you want your Smeargle to have Payday, well then, you can be able to give Persian the moves Payday and Hyper Voice. They might be saying to me, Roy, how come you don't have Hyper Voice on Meowth? And that's a good question. Considering the fact that Meowth's special attack is 40, just don't think Meowth can make much use of Hyper Voice. Now compare that to Persian's special attack, as you see here on screen, 65. Not bad, but considering the fact that it is also a normal type, I mean, that certainly makes it all that much better. That's why, in my humble opinion, Persian is #1. Here's my Persian. That OT gets me almost every time. Here is perfect. Alright, so there are the IVs. Oh man, this person really went all out. But you don't need all this to be 31. You could just do attack 31, special attack 31, and speed 31. And then HP defense and special defense, as long as it's 25 plus, you should be fine. Or even 20 plus. And then as for the EVs, there you go. 202 attack, 202 special attack, and then 6 speed. Now here are the moves. I have the Silk Scarf, so I'm not locked in a move. So that way, if I need to adapt, if I want to use Payday, I can. If I want to use Hyper Voice or Bubble Beam, I can do that also. So Persian is really good for this. And with that, that's going to go ahead and conclude the video. Hopefully you all enjoyed the top 10 series. Let me know how my mic is down in the comment section below. I've been working on that. This is Roy Rogers Channel. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel, like the content that you see here. And this is Roy Rogers Channel signing off. Fast, goodbye to Roy Rogers News. And enjoy Payday.